Hey guys, how's it going? Today I have a Missouri replay for you, played by me in a division with my clanmates Tree Diagram and Edge Case. Edge Case is in a Frederick de Grosse, and Tree is in, I believe it's in Essex. I don't quite remember. This was played a couple days ago. I had a few Sony Vegas problems that I had to work out. But first shots in the match, will let Ibuki turn. Is he smart enough? Not looking like it, and there goes 13,000 of his health without even getting citadeled. So maybe he'll learn from that and not stay broadside to the enemy, or I shouldn't say where he sees the enemy team because I wasn't spotted until I fired. But still, he probably could have moved between then and there. New Orleans, did he learn from his predecessor that came around the very self-same corner? I am spotted when I fire, so he does know that I shot. He's turning, but it's a little bit too late, and he takes a citadel for 22,000 damage. Alrighty, enemy cruisers not showing their brightness this game. So I'm already up to 35,000 damage, and this game's just barely started. Enemy Missouri way over there. There's a Chapayev sitting over there too that's kind of throwing shots at me. But that St. Louis over there is what's really going to give me the problem because he's kind of focusing his fire on me, and those can get very annoying very fast, especially since they're somewhat hard to citadel at range. There's that New Orleans again. Looks like he's coming back around broadside. Question is, will he learn? Because I did get spotted when I shot again. It's looking like he's still broadside, and gone. So there's first blood, another citadel for that New Orleans. St. Louis is throwing some more shots at me to punish me for that. I've got 2 fires on my ship. So I'll go ahead and put those out, pop my repair, and since I'm stealth back up, I'll see if I can break contact a little bit. And see what other cruisers want to stay broadside. That's the Ibuki from earlier. He looks like he healed up a little bit. We've got an Iowa behind us and a Chapayev trying to push into the cap. Now something just sent a wall of torpedoes at the Chapayev, but it looks like he might dodge them, so I do throw a shot back at the Chapayev. I don't think that's gonna, oh, I barely touched him, getting 1 overpen for very, very minor damage. There's some more shots from that St. Louis, very intent on bothering me. He does not like my position, and that Ibuki's just backing him up. Then again, that Ibuki didn't turn earlier. So let's see if he's learned his lesson. I go ahead and drop my 2 first guns at him. Doesn't look like he's turned yet. And based on the shots, he either did actually turn, which the mini-map shows he did, and those shots missed sadly. And the one shot at the, or I almost said New Orleans, the St. Louis sadly only overpen. The damn spaced armor on it is a little bit of an impediment for these shells. There's a decent angle on him, but it does look like he's smart. He swung his ship back into my shots, so he definitely made himself a small target, and all those shots will miss. This guy is a pretty smart St. Louis player. Then again, eventually I'm going to land a shot like that and do 5,000 damage to him. Sadly, it's not enough to really worry him. He's got a big enough health bar that it's not really a dissuasion to him to take small hits like that every 30 seconds or so. Another shot out at him. Will they land decent? Nope, looks like I undershot that pretty badly. I don't think I expected him to turn his speed boost on, and definitely undershot that. So you can see I'm pulling back. I'm trying to break contact again, trying to keep myself from being constantly set on fire and burning all my repairs. Does look like that enemy Ibuki, I believe those shots were from, still wants a piece of me after I dealt that 12,000 damage to it at the beginning of the game. So there's that pesky St. Louis. There's an Iowa over there somewhere, which I have to be careful about showing my broadside to. And our friend in the Ibuki is still sailing around back there. So there's all 3 of them. The Iowa just disappeared. The St. Louis and the Ibuki are sailing back towards the cap. So what are they going to do? They have A, they have B. I dropped my shots at the St. Louis hoping to get him out of the game because he's a really large bother to me. And will they land? Very, very light damage, another 5,000 damage hit. So really, like I said, it's not much of a bother to him, and I just gave away my position again in case he wants to turn his guns this way and start pounding my ship. Does look like the enemy Iowa took notice of me. Then again, he's sitting broadside. You know, Iowa did get its citadel lowered, but it's not lowered to the point where I can't citadel him at this angle. And he just disappeared, but it's not going to matter. My shots are already out, and there's 3 citadels on his ship. He is not going to be feeling too good. You can see Edge Case throwing some German steel downrange over here. But the question is, what are these ships doing over here? I'm popping my last repair. They're kind of just pushing in towards the middle, and they're showing me their broadside, and there's that poor Iowa that I just absolutely destroyed his health bar. Another shot out at him. He's still showing me a pretty good angle, but I think now that he's noticed I can, aim, he might actually figure out that he should turn. There's another 6,500 damage to him. Slowly chipping away at his health bar. Ooh, he definitely out-traded me there, doing 8,000 to me. That pesky St. Louis looks like he got whapped by something. But he's still up and sailing, which is a bother because they're a very good kiting ship. But Tree is actually getting threatened by a Fletcher that is pushing across the map over there. So I'm going to start turning my ship to go engage that as needed. Tree can defend himself. But I'm going to start turning my ship over there just in case. And I'm going to continue firing on all these enemy ships that are kind of lined up for me over here. Looks like the Iowa and the St. Louis are getting out of dodge, and there's a big wall of torpedoes heading towards Edge Case and the friendly Shimakaze over there.
The ship is on fire.
Looks like I just took 2 fires, I think from the Charles Martel and the Ibuki. I was still trying to get out, but not quite out of detection for me as he starts doing that turn. So I'm going to drop a couple shells towards him and see what happens. Come on, do some damage. Yeah, 8,000, not bad. I'll take it. And there is the Fletcher. He's making a beeline for our carrier. And Tree is doing a very good job of keeping him spotted and is also spotting the torpedoes that he's dropping towards me. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but that destroyer actually predicted where I was going to turn. And my shot just sent out. And yeah, 8,100 damage to that poor Fletcher class destroyer who cannot heal that back. So yeah, he won't be too happy with that as Edge brings his planes in to finish him off. Now you can see I've started to notice that these torpedoes are actually kind of catching up to me, and he just launched a second spread. So Edge finishes him off and I start making my turn. I'm going to turn around the whole torpedo spread since I know I have time, and inside of the second torpedo spread. So we have our carrier secure. We've turned the game around in a way because that destroyer was a major threat to the ships that had pushed on B. So we've kind of turned the game around, and we're definitely up on points again.
Torpedoes, dead ahead.
So now Tree can do his thing without too much worry. We have the rest of the ships boxed off in this corner. The only question is, how much damage can we do before this game gets over? And of course, Edge Case is putting up a very valiant fight over there, holding off that enemy team from pushing around and catching Tree Diagram as his carrier is kind of forced to stay this way for a little bit before he turns around. But sadly, Edge Case will be going down here to both the I think it's an enemy Shimakaze and the fires from the St. Louis. So a bit unfortunate there. But once again, we have these cruisers that feel like going broadside. And there's the Charles Martel. He is smart enough to turn. I'm not entirely sure if that was due to me or just due to the planes, but he definitely didn't want to get hit by something. We've got the St. Louis still pushing the same side. We have an Ibuki, and I think that Iowa is still floating around over there. And there's the Shimakaze is somewhere in here, and that's what really worries me. I have the friendly Shimakaze in front of me, but I don't have really a lot of gunship support if we do end up spotting that enemy destroyer. And my cat's trying to run around on my desk here. Sorry about that. So shots out the Ibuki. Looks like he didn't quite figure out he should turn. Took one penetration, lucky for him. And looks like he's going to continue sailing that way, shooting shells at me for, bothering to shoot at him. And he's just going to wait till I reload. And there's that enemy Shimikaze at very low health. That's a really good thing to see in case he tries to torpedo charge me. Or torpedo run, I should say. But you can see I'm actually turning to ignore the Ibuki for the second. The St. Louis has gotten really close to me, and that's a great time to actually shoot at these ships because my shells will be flat enough to kind of ignore their spaced armor. And he was turning out, which shows me a little vulnerability in his armor, and there's a Citadel, a penetration, and a very, very dead St. Louis. So that's payback for him doing so much damage to my ship. Looks like the Iowa went down, the Shimikaze went down, and it looks like that Charles Martel isn't doing too good over there. He's being chased around by torpedoes. My whole team is firing at him instead of the Ibuki, which is a smart choice because he seems slightly smarter than the Ibuki. But as you can see, he's also not looking at me, which is a mistake on his part because I'm the only ship that he's broadside to. And yeah. So there's my Confederate award, another Citadel, and another very, very dead cruiser. So all that's left is this Ibuki. We've already seen that he isn't quite smart enough to turn his ship when he needs to. The question is, will he turn his ship again? He's not even looking at me, which is the first key that he's not going to turn. And of course, the answer is no. Another Citadel, the first devastating strike of the game, and another very dead cruiser, just because he decided to sail broadside and took a massive amount of damage from my guns. I gotta love those broadside cruisers. They're just the most tasty thing. When you fire at them multiple times, whether it's doing massive amounts of damage or not, and they just ignore you and continue sailing broadside. I guess the only way to teach them is to just continue citadeling them. Makes good food for everybody here, right? So, getting into the post-game stats, 197,000 damage done, 8 citadels, 4 ships destroyed, 1.6 million credits earned, just showing what a huge, humongous credit printer the Missouri is. Almost 7,000 experienced, devastating strike, Confederate, fireproof, thanks to that St. Louis, dreadnought, also thanks to that guy, first blood, and high caliber, thanks to all the broadside cruisers. I was also first on my team with almost 3,000 base experience, with the friendly Shimikaze who was doing a very good job of defending that, I believe it was the cap in front of me, finishing right below me with 1,500 base experience. He did a very good job defending that and definitely earned that 1,500. Of course, the enemy St. Louis finished top on his team, probably just due to the damage that he dealt because he just constantly set me and my friendlies on fire and was basically a nuisance, which is what those ships are made to do. So pretty good job to him. Of course, most of my damage was from armor piercing, well, all of it really, because all those cruisers decided to stay broadside and there was really no reason for me to fire high explosive in this match. But I hope you guys enjoyed. My next replay will be another Missouri replay because I had another that was basically just a huge turnaround and it basically blows this replay right out of the water, but I wanted to show this one to you just because of the amount of cruisers that decided to stay broadside to me in it, because it was just like watching somebody farm potatoes. They just line up to get picked. Or dug up, I guess. Anyways, good luck out there, guys, and have a great day.